Allow me to introduce myself. I am Gilbert Bates, as I'm sure you have surmised. I'd like to extend my thanks to you, sir, for putting an end to the difficulties at my factory. I've been informed that there is a matter you wish to discuss. Great gods! How did you come by that ring? A gnome? What manner of tomfoolery is this? Are you certain it was not a dwarf? Yes, I am familiar with the dwarves and their customs. Tell me, was there anything distinctive about this fellow? By Alberic, I knew it in my heart. That was no gnome. It was Stenar Rockcutter. Stenar was an old friend of mine. But for him to cut off his beard, by the gods, it's unthinkable. But please, tell me, did he say anything to you before he died? Did he say anything about me? The evil? What evil? And where did he escape from? Something horrible must have happened after I... Did he say anything else? I do not know. Even though dwarves reckon time differently than humans, he must have realized that I am now an old man. Perhaps it is because I was but a boy when I betrayed his trust all those years ago. That is quite the long tale. A tale of my shame, it is. It is ironic that my greatest mistake is that which brought me such wealth. As a youth, I was enamored of all things dwarven, so I sought out the nearest clan and attempted to impress them with my grasp of their technology. They laughed. It was obviously a novelty to them, a ridiculous human who had a natural bent towards technology. I suppose it didn't help that I was a mere 14 years old at the time. I became something they humored to entertain themselves. Stenar was the only one who truly called me friend in all those years, and betrayal is how I repaid his friendship. It was he who first showed me their steam engine, as he knew I could appreciate the beautiful intricacies of its design. They had left it to rust in a corner, as they had very little use for a device that would reduce the need for sheer physical power. Imagine a dwarf relying on a device to do his digging for him. It's preposterous. I asked him if I could tinker with it, perhaps improve on it, as I knew this was the key to becoming truly a part of the dwarven world. I quickly devised a way to use it to power a pump for draining the mines. When I fell all over myself trying to explain it to them, laughter was, once again, their only response. I knew I had to somehow gain their respect, so I hastily sketched some schematics and set out to prove my theory. The struggling human mining company that I brought the plans to offered me a share in their mines for the steam pump. I was ecstatic. I had not a care for their mines or their money. I desired vindication. When I returned to the dwarves to boast of my accomplishments and be welcomed into their clan, they were gone. The inventions came quickly after that, fueled by my anger and confusion. How could they have denied me my place amongst them after all my labors? Somehow I felt I could still prove myself to them. I continued searching for them in all my spare moments, but to no avail. But then they came, the robed ones. They appeared to me late one night, and they warned me to never speak of, nor try to find the dwarves again. Still being a mere lad, you can imagine the terror that put into me. As my wealth and power grew, I shook off some of my youthful fear and hired the first in a long chain of investigators to locate Stenar and his clan. None of them ever returned with any worthwhile information, and some never returned at all. The ones that did told of vicious traps and creatures attacking them from the shadows. As word of these failures spread, it became more and more difficult to find souls brave enough to take on the challenge. He knew that ring would lend veracity to your tale. I gave Stenner that ring the last time I saw him, and now he is dead. If only we knew what he meant by the evil. I don't put much stock in religious ramblings. I'm more concerned with who killed Stenner and why, and what all this has to do with my relationship with the Black Mountain clan. There must be some clue left in the Black Mountain mines. I am certain of this. You seem to be a resourceful individual. Would you be interested in searching the mines for some clue as to their whereabouts? I would make it worth your while, I can assure you. Splendid! Here, let me mark your map with the location of the Black Mountain mines. I am certain there must be some clues to be found there. Please, return as soon as you have found anything. Of course. What do you wish to ask of me? I have never actually claimed that I did. It was just people's assumption. I have invented any number of devices based off its principles, but I did not invent the first one. Such is the enthusiasm, or perhaps the impetuousness of youth, that I did not stop to consider the consequences of my actions. All I could see was a way to gain the respect of the dwarves. It was all that mattered. Yes, it is, and it torments me every day. I was but a child when the robed ones gave me their dire warnings, and I was terrified. They were explicit that I was not to reveal the origins of the steam engine. Of course. What do you wish to ask of me? You don't understand. I was orphaned at a young age. The dwarves represented everything I wanted my family to be. A tight-knit clan, and the respect I had for their brilliance with technology. I made the mistake common to youth. I thought intelligence equaled compassion. I needed to belong, to find that I had some worth. My mother died, bringing me into this world. I believe my father died then as well, even though he continued to exist in the world for some 8 more years. When he could stand living no longer, he took his own life. He left me decently provided for, and with his grasp on reality becoming more tenuous each day, I believe he felt I would be safer in the care of others. The last thing he did in this life was to give me that ring. That is how much his friendship meant to me. I was devastated when he disappeared with the rest of the clan. I believe I felt more deserted and alone then than I did when my father killed himself. Of course. What do you wish to ask of me? There's not much, really, as Chukka is given to overzealousness in his protection of my person. He rendered the interloper lifeless before I could question him. All he had on his person was an amulet bearing the symbol of the Molokian hand, the eye in the hexagram. They were a religious order of assassins some 500 years ago. Rumors of their continued existence surface periodically, but are usually proven to be hoaxes. I figure this for a new group trying to adopt some of the prestige of the name. Let us hope for both our sakes that they are mere pretenders to the name, then. I would be loath to have the authentic Molokians out for my blood. I do not know, but I am beginning to believe they are behind Stenner's death. This all seems to be pointing to my involvement with the Black Mountain clan, doesn't it? That is why I feel it is imperative to find out their fate. Our lives seem to be dependent on it, in fact. Yes, it would seem I am well protected here. However, the more staff one has, the easier it is for one of them to be bribed or replaced with an assassin. Also, my notoriety keeps me a prisoner in my house. They will always know where to look for me. You, on the other hand, can blend with the crowd, so to speak. Of course. What do you wish to ask of me? Well, as you know, I am the foremost manufacturer of steam engines in Arcanum, virtually without competition. I am working on a prototype for a smaller, more efficient engine right now, as a matter of fact. I also have various interests in other technological endeavors. It is not much of an accomplishment when old Cedric Appleby is your chief competitor. Poor Cedric. Always was a bit of a blundering fool. I really wish I could have convinced him to come work for me. Cedric and I were close friends when we were children. He was furious that I wouldn't introduce him to the dwarves. Can you imagine? I had a difficult enough time gaining their respect without his simple-mindedness. After I invented the steam engine, he began to despise me. Strangely enough, I wish he was still my friend some days. You have returned! Tell me what new sake of the gods, out with it, man! If you would, I know I've already asked much of you, but an old man needs to put his mind at ease. The Isle of Despair is a penal colony, extremely dangerous. The criminals are unceremoniously left on her shores to fend for themselves against the elements and the other inmates. I would be indebted to you, of course. Go to the docks at Ashbury. You can find it on your map. Ask around for Edward Teach, a crusty old salt. He is in command of one of the boats that I use for special jobs. I trust him implicitly. There are rumors of a somewhat less than virtuous career on the high seas, but he's a good man should a difficult situation arise. I'll wire ahead to tell Teach to expect you. Chukka here is quite beneficial to have around for protection. If you're interested, you might be able to persuade him to accompany you on your journey. Of course. What do you wish to ask of me? Oh, one more thing. I would like to purchase my ring back from you. I'd give you 200 coins. It would mean quite a bit to me. My father gave it to me before he died. Much obliged. I will speak with you when you return.
Greetings, traveler. It seems to me that you're looking for answers. Perhaps it is time that I answered them for you. Don't you know? Are you not the reincarnation of Nazruddin? Has it been so long that you don't recognize your old nemesis? Or perhaps you're not the living one after all, merely a puppet playing his role. So, you remember me, do you, Nazruddin? Do you remember what I did to your pathetic elven council? Do you remember when all of Arcanum shook before my power? Be warned, they will do so again. I have come to bring you a message. The message is this. Whether you are the living one or not, whether or not the coward Nazruddin hides in your bones or still rots in his grave, the inevitable will still come to pass. I am returning. It has already been set in motion, and there's nothing you can do about it. I am returning, and all will fall before me. Everyone you know, everyone you love. You see my power? Do you yet understand? Perhaps I need to be more clear. No one is safe, traveler. No one. Not even you. Remember what I have shown you here. Remember and tell the world. Aronax is returning to Arcanum, and nothing will ever be the same. Farewell.
What? Who dares disturb the exile of Thunderstone? Quiet! This insolence is unforgivable. The violation of my ancient right for solitude in exile is not broken so easily. Your life hangs in the balance, stranger. Speak quickly, lest you taste of the fury of Harrow. My son, Randver, he would dare permit such an affront? I've come here to writhe upon the blade of my sorrow, to live the 1,000 deaths by the ancient right of kings. These laws are passed down through the mountain from the beginning of remembered time. Your life is forfeit to them, as is my own. Do you understand? What? How do you know? Speak quickly. Your life still hangs in the balance. I've no words, no words. My crime, it seems, is even more heinous than I thought. I deserve much worse than this mere isolation. In all the time since the judgment was passed, I have never spoken of it. My shame has held my tongue. It seems that very shame shall now, finally, bring the betrayal to light. A delegation of elves sent from the Silver Lady herself. They came not long after Bates had built his first steam engine. Technology in the hands of the human had spread and advanced at an alarming rate, and the elves were hit first and hardest. The Silver Lady is Mother Queen to the elves. She is very old, much older than I, and very powerful in the ways of magic. No, I'm not sure if any but elven eyes have ever been laid upon her. Over the years, we have corresponded through messengers. Elves and dwarves are very different, and we tend to stay away from one another. But our relationship, as culturally strained as it may be, has always been civil. We don't necessarily understand one another, but we've always respected the differences. In Kintara, the oldest city of the elves, somewhere within the Glimmering Forest. There are many reasons. Humans, in comparison with the other races, live such short lives. Because of this, I believe that every human action is motivated through fear. The fear of death. You would think that this was a relative issue, that humans would learn to live with this limitation and accept it. This is not true. And therefore, humans, when confronted with any situation, see it through the veil of their own mortality. Achieve, advance, perform. Humans are constantly driven by the shadow of their own death. This fear, unfortunately, clouds their judgment, deadens their sense of right and wrong. Humans act first, think later, and feel last of all. When Bates was given a look at our technology, he was overcome. As a human, his first thought was, what can I use this for? When it should have been, what is the cost of its use? Technology exploded in their hands because they are not burdened with our longevity. Humans rarely live long enough to see the consequences of their mistakes. Their forests were being cleared with the help of technology. Massive steam-powered clear-cutters. The oldest groves, towering and untouched for thousands of years, were being destroyed without prejudice. I saw much of this with my own eyes. The ancient forest of Morbahan is little more than a graveyard now. I'm unsure, but I don't believe so. But the delegation said that the crimes were against all elves. You see, Elves feel a very strong connection to the world, to nature, and especially to forests. It's said that elven souls reside in the oldest trees. I don't know if this is true, but I do know there to be a strong connection between living things and magic. The delegation told me that she was extremely hurt and angry about the damage that had been done. According to them, because of her age and power, she was hurt the most by the clearing. Her connection to the forests was strongest of all. I've said before that there is a strong connection between living things and magic, and the magic flows the most strongly in the veins of elves. Dwarves are very different. We feel a strong connection to the earth, but in another way. We love those things which are eternal, unchangeable. Earth, stone, metal. In those things are strength, but not life as you know it. They said that if the Black Mountain clan was not punished, there would be war. War! I told them that a punishment was already being decided upon, and that we, as dwarves, would deal with them. They refused. They claimed rights as the afflicted, and therefore as the judges. They agreed that exile was a suitable punishment, but they wanted to be the vessel of that retribution. No. I know that there was a time of violence many years ago among the elves. But from what I know of them, they are a very rational, peace-loving people. They know that ultimately, war benefits no one. I was very surprised when they came and threatened it. Yes, the more we talk about it, I begin to get the same feeling. Yes, the elves would have been angry, but would they really have threatened war? Morbahan was a tragedy, but directly affected none of the elven communities. Perhaps my fear blinded me to such things before. And now this mystery. Where are the dwarves of the Black Mountain clan? I am very old, stranger. You may know nothing of me, but believe me when I tell you that I've seen enough dwarven blood spilled to fill 1,000 lifetimes. Have you any idea what it would mean for there to be a war between the elves and the dwarves? Arcanum itself would not survive the conflict. And I was so very tired of filling tombs with the bodies of my people. But nothing. I chose to spare the dwarves, the world, the price of such a war. What was one clan's honor in comparison with the sheer cataclysm that would result otherwise? You ask what right they had? None. They merely forced a choice, and I chose the path of least resistance, the least pain. That was my betrayal, stranger. But that is the point. I am king of the dwarves. It is my responsibility to lead them, to protect them. But most importantly, it is my responsibility to defend their honor, their dwarven honor. By allowing my own fear or concern, regardless of how justified that fear might be, to overshadow their honor, was an unforgivable transgression. Even as king, the choice is never mine as to whether even one dwarf is stripped of his honor. I should have brought this to the people, or just flatly refused from the beginning. I was a coward, a failure, and this exile is my punishment. Given the choice now, I would have waged war against all of Arcanum to uphold the honor of that foolish little clan. I don't know, stranger. I think that it is too late for me. What? What do you know of the nature of dwarven stone? You, an outsider. How could you possibly know of such things? Perhaps, but you are not even a dwarf. These are beliefs and concepts it takes a lifetime to reconcile. How could you possibly begin to understand how I feel? Yes, I know. I've thought long and hard about this. Dwarven stone tells me that any transgression against our honor is unthinkable. But my shape as king, as their father, told me to protect them. I'd shouldered so much of their pain, I could do it no longer. Yes, your words sound true, stranger. I know that no man is flawless. But I also know that each man's load to bear is different. A larger load carries more responsibility. Mine is heaviest of all. Therefore, the price for my betrayal must be the most costly. The nature of the betrayal? I failed my people. Isn't that what is most important here? The betrayal was against their stone. It seems, sadly, that my own stone is flawed. You shame me, stranger. Your words are harsh, but undeniably true. Perhaps you are correct, but it doesn't change what I've done, nor the price I need to pay. It is best if you just leave an old dwarf here to rot. It is your place to right this wrong. How then? How can I do so? By Alberic, you are right. I've been blinded by my own shame and not seen the true betrayal. I've betrayed myself and my people along with me. I shall return, stranger. I shall be king. By the name of Thunderstone, I swear it. Of course, I'll do anything within my power to help you. As I said, they were supposedly sent from the Silver Lady. I know very little of them. But I do have a name. Perhaps that will be enough for you to uncover this mystery. The delegation was sent by someone named Mingorad, and I had many correspondences with this elf. Here is a letter that was sent to me by him. I'm unsure. The entire situation reeks of deception. I would tell you to seek him in Kintara, but I don't even know if the delegation was sent from there or not. Regardless, you may want to begin your search there. The Silver Lady might know of this Mingorad. I don't know, unfortunately. The location of Kintara is a well-guarded secret, but I do know it lies within the Glimmering Forest. The small town of Stillwater lies near the edge of that forest. Perhaps there you might find someone who knows where it is. Here, I'll mark your map with Stillwater's location. Wait. I'm much to blame for this situation. My fear and cowardice have helped in bringing about this tragedy. I feel I must do something to help you. Please, take Harrow, the first axe of my family. Its blade strikes true and deep in the hands of the righteous, especially if those hands are dwarven. Within it is the strength of the Thunderstones. I give it to you. I'm sure you will. Godspeed on your quest, my friend. And if you do find out what happened to the Black Mountain clan, return to me. I would be very interested in finding out what really happened to them. Very interested.